Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm your host, Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and we have a very special guest today. He's the newly named head coach of the Independence boys basketball team, Coach Mark Wilkins. Coach Wilkins, not only welcome to WCS, but welcome to the Coaches Show.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely glad to be here, and it's such an honor to be on both. I mean, Williamson County, but also the Coaches Show. It's one of the best ones running around that I know of. So it's an honor to be your coach, and thank you for having me today.
Well, I know, Coach, that this program here is not only local, it's regional, it's statewide, it's national. So yes, this is no pressure, but this is like maybe one of your most pressurized moments you're going to have for a while.
Well, and I don't know if you can see all the IP addresses. I'm sure there might be some out of country. You never know. It's definitely well known. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Coach, we're just really excited about you being here and excited about our viewers getting to learn a little bit more about you today. Just to start off, you spent the last 6 years at South Gibson High School coaching boys basketball. You won 112 games during that time, back-to-back district champions. Reached the sub-state game 3 or 4 years, which is Final 16, 19-9 this past year with a loss in the region semifinal game. What a great run, Coach, there at South Gibson.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. You know, it really honestly outreached my expectations for what this program could do, and just been so blessed. And, you know, we had some humble beginnings those first couple of years, but really got it going these last 4 years, and just excited for the kids to buy into a new coach and to, an outsider coming in. And man, we've had a lot of fun, a lot of success, and, just nothing but great memories for South Gibson in my time here. It's a huge blessing in my life.
Well, and Coach, we'll get into this too. You and I have a little bit of history together we'll talk about. We're not focusing on me. We're going to focus on you. But the reason I bring that up, I know how much you love South Gibson.
Yeah.
You love that school. That school loves you. Why was this the right move for you to come to Independence, especially based on that success you're having at South Gibson?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. This was a very difficult decision, and Independence is an incredible job, which I'd be glad to talk about here in a second. But it was still very difficult for me and my family to decide to make the move away from South Gibson. I mean, this has been so much, not only success, but just so many good family memories here. This is where I met my wife, and we have a little son now. And, and obviously my family is a little bit closer being here in West Tennessee. And so that along with the success we've had here and the kids, it was just a very difficult and still at times emotional decision. But the timing could not be better. We don't think, as far as our family goes, my wife is transitioning to be staying at home. And there's just a lot of different things that have kind of opened itself at Independence for us just to say this is the right move, but for us and our family. And we love the Middle Tennessee area. And I know you don't want to talk about it, but I still love talking about it. I love the time at Beach High School working under you, and just the great memories we've had there. And, feel like I have a lot of context and resources and friends even in that area that I look forward to reconnecting with. And so I'm torn because I feel at home here with the great memories we've had, but I also feel a lot of strong connections in Middle Tennessee.
Well, and I love that answer, Coach, because I think what it's going to show folks, and they're going to really love about you, is you value those relationships. You're a basketball coach, you're a teacher, but it's really about relationships for you. So it was naturally going to be a difficult decision, and we're glad that you made the one that you did. Now, let's talk about your family a little bit. You come from a family of coaches, which has been well publicized. Your dad coached boys basketball in Missouri for years. He's a Hall of Famer there. Over 800 wins, maybe 900 now in his career.
Yeah.
You moved to Tennessee during your junior year. Talk about growing up with your dad as a coach, that just really a legendary coach there at Troy High School.
Yeah.
You move and you play for him at Henry County your junior and senior year here in Tennessee.
Yeah. So it was obviously a huge transition. And, once again, kind of go back to that timing thing. It was the right timing for us to make that move as a family then and come here to Tennessee. We didn't have any family here or any sort of connections, but just felt like it was the right move, and kind of felt like we were led to this point in West Tennessee. And, it's just amazing how it all works out, because I ended up going to Lipscomb University and moving to Middle Tennessee, and probably wouldn't have had we not finished here at Henry County, finished high school at Henry County. And so those last 2 years, they were great. I mean, there were so many advantages to playing in Tennessee, to being coached by my father. That's something I would never trade, and there may be some times where, the locker room guys were wanting to say some things and I had to leave before they could, or maybe they did in front of me. I'm not really sure. I'd probably chimed in, honestly, but there was definitely some growing pains there when you play for your dad, but just the memories we've had. And actually my brother, who, we'll speak about here in a second, was at McKenzie now. He was the assistant coach there. And so we were all in the same house, and just those memories that we'll have there will be never forgotten. And we did go to the beach Christmas tournament my senior year, and that didn't go as well. But we had some great times, and that I always cherish, and I'm thankful that we got to have those together.
Well, your dad, who now coaches girls basketball at Gibson County, won a state championship there. Your brother, David, the head coach for the Huntington girls, and then John coaches both the boys and girls at McKenzie. And something I thought was just so neat. In 2020, all four of you win the district tournament championship.
Yeah.
And then this year, if I'm not wrong, you had 3 titles, and one wasn't won because one brother beat the other.
That's right. We were all in the championship game again this year. But it was, one of the brothers beat the other one. And, it is amazing. And I even asked my wife that the other day. We don't reflect enough probably. And I said, hey, do you think anyone's ever won 4 district championships that's been related in the same year, in the same, state? She goes, I don't think there's 4 family members coaching, period, in the same, and so that is something that is unique to our family. And we don't necessarily flaunt it, but we also don't shy away from it because we're proud of it and we're thankful to share this profession together. And so, and back to that 2020 title run, the rest of them, no problem, 20 points or whatever. We had to fight and claw in overtime, but it was a great memory and something I have on my wall in my office, and one of the, once again, most treasured things I've been able to be a part of.
Well, it's really neat. And knowing your family, you guys are all really competitive. I'm sure as the youngest of the 3 brothers, I'm the youngest, so I kind of understand that myself. But you guys do a great job of rooting for one another.
Well, yeah. So it's been a little bit harder this past year with them being in the same district, of course. But, that is something that you have to kind of really almost compartmentalize that. You're frustrated. Maybe you're not playing good, but you also got to be happy for your brother who's going to the state tournament or whatever it may be. And so it's exciting from that standpoint. And we all get to be excited for Dad because it seems like it's just an annual thing for him to be at the state tournament. But it's fun when you feel like you're almost invested in 4 or 5 different teams, and you can kind of, hey, how'd they do? What happened over there? Did they be, and it's exciting always be checking the scoreboards, rooting for each other and hoping we can get that 5-game winning night. And that's sometimes difficult to do.
And if you really want to think about stress, your poor mother.
Oh, no.
I mean, she's got to deal with it at all times. So, she goes through those same feelings 4 times.
Yes. Yes.
It's a bit different when it's your own team, but then when you have a vested interest in all 4, got to be I know it's fun for her.
Right.
Also has to be a little bit stressful as well. It
is. And we have to give her permission sometimes to be excited for Dad's team because she's like frustrated that we lost. I mean, it's okay, and of course, my oldest brother who's at Huntington is now leaving the district with my middle brother at McKenzie. But now David's joining Dad's district. And so she's back in that same boat again of wanting David to win, but not beat Dad. And, just that tension. So I'm the one that decided, you know what, I'm tired of this. I'm breaking the mold. I'm going to Middle Tennessee. I'm not playing any of you guys and putting my mom under any more stress. So.
Well, we're happy about that. And I know your wife, Abby, your son, John David, who just turned 1. I know it's an exciting time for you guys as well. And I know the Wilkins family, I know they're definitely supporting you 100%.
Yes, sir. They are. It's bittersweet, moving a little bit further away, but, they're definitely already excited and asking me who my district is and all that stuff. And so we're excited this new challenge, new chapter of our life.
Hey, let's talk about your background a little bit before South Gibson. You spend some time working at the college level as a student assistant there at Lipscomb University for Coach Sanderson was the coach there at the time in the men's program. Yeah. Talk about that, how that shaped you as a coach, that experience there at Lipscomb.
That's something I'm really thankful for looking back at it because, you leave high school, or I left high school getting to play a lot and be, I guess I wasn't one of the better players, but got that experience. And then I go to college and it's like, hey, you're the student assistant coach, but you also have some managerial duties too. And so it was a good experience for me to see basketball from a different angle. And so now when we have people who go up on our program, I just feel like I've been able to be a lot more appreciative of that, because you have to have, it takes a village, to win and to be successful. And so that was, the first impression that was left on me. And then, not only that, but getting to go on the road and be a part of, I got to walk on the floor at Ohio State, got to do these different experiences, even at Cincinnati, some of those big premier games you play. It's exciting, and we had a lot of success those 2 years there that I was able to do with Coach Sanderson. And one of the years we had the leading scorer in the NCAA. A lot of people didn't know that with a post player. And so just the day in, day out, you don't realize it when you're in the moment, but just so many things that you get to observe and almost take mental notes. I'm just so thankful for that experience, and a lot of good friends and friendships and relationships have come out of that experience, and forever thankful for doing that on the college level and the Division I college level, which I thought was pretty neat.
So from Lipscomb, you get a job as a history teacher, assistant basketball coach there at Beach High School, and you were fortunate enough to maybe overcome the bad habits of the head coach there at the time and the craziness there. But talk about your experience at Beach High School as an assistant coach as well. And we're going to talk about volleyball here in a second too.
Yeah.
That's coming too, Coach.
Yes. Man, it was exactly what I needed at the time. Graduating college, didn't really know where I was going to end up, and just excited to get somewhere. And what an incredible place to be able to fall into play at Beach High School. And, didn't really know what I was getting into. Didn't know anything really, except we played that Christmas term when I was in high school at Beach High School. Didn't know anything about the league or about style of play or just how to be a teacher. And so it was kind of baptism by fire that first year. But it was great, and I loved it, and was able to do the strength conditioning and coach the freshmen. And coach with you on Tuesdays and Fridays, and how fun those games were, and playing some of those rival games at Gallatin and Hendersonville. I mean, there's things hanging in my office still from those memories alone. That 9 AAA league, as you know, was very, very well coached and very competitive, and felt like there was a lot of people in that league who I was still able to keep up with, and go back and ask questions on why they do the certain things they do. But it was those 3 years of coaching, I wouldn't trade it for anything, not even for more years as a head coach. I needed those 3 years to learn from you and to learn how to communicate, and still developing those things, hopefully. But, it was an awesome experience. And once again, goes back to those relationships that I'll cherish forever.
Well, to let our audience know, I mean, I was very fortunate as a coach to have some great assistants over the years: David Woods, Chase Moore, Justin Anderson, Matt Davenport, just to name a few. And when Coach Wilkins came aboard, I'll share this, and I know we've talked about this, Coach, but I remember you telling me, and this was as a young man, to be able to say, hey, I want to take some things off your plate as the head coach and make practice a place where you can stand at half court and maybe watch what's going on each end, more like a football coach does in a lot of ways. And you were very excited to work with the post players, took over the weight room at the time, which is obviously so important. So I know for me as the head coach, you were a person that I always thought was very mature as a coach. I've jokingly said about you, Coach, you're late 20s going on 40. And I mean, and I think that maturity, your background, especially coming from a family of coaches, had to have something to do with that. Well,
and I appreciate you saying that, Coach. And you throw it back in your side of the court and say that you had enough confidence to hand me some of those responsibilities. And I'm thankful for that, because you kind of, hey, maybe I'm like this. I don't want to let go of some things, afraid it would be done wrong, but you let me experiment and try to figure out what works and what didn't. And, and kind of going back to my background, I'm so thankful for that. But I also had, my dad who does it a certain way and you do it a certain way, and both of you have been successful. And so it was really formative for me to see, what Dad has done in practice, what you've done in practice. And honestly, sometimes I wish I could do that even more, just kind of sit there and hear from these other coaches, because you never really know what somebody else is doing in their practice or their program, unless you're an assistant or a student assistant at Lipscomb. So, that experience was very, like I said, formative, and I'm thankful for it. You almost wish you could go back and tell yourself, just enjoy this moment a little bit more, because you're going to get your chance. I always think, and we've talked about it a lot, you're going to get your chance to be a head coach one day, but just sit here and just enjoy being 3 feet down from that chair and being an assistant and charting deflections or whatever we need to do that night, and just being the biggest cheerleader too. And so that'd be my only, I guess, quote unquote regret, is that I wish I could even go back and do it again.
Well, and a guy that we both respect and admire, and who's mentor for us, the principal at the time, Frank Cardwell there at Beach, he comes to you at some point there and says, "Hey, I need a volleyball coach. You want to be a head coach? How about you take over this volleyball program?" And this is something I always tell people about you. You take over. It's your first experience to be a head coach. I remember us talking about it and saying, "Hey, you want to be a head coach? Don't worry about it being volleyball, a sport you don't know a ton about."
Right.
What do? You go out and you hire an assistant who maybe knows a little bit more about the skills and the background kinds of things you need to do with volleyball. You take it over, you manage it, you learn about what's going on, and you look up in year 2. Not only do you know about the skills a little bit more, but what I was impressed with, you knew about being a head coach. You guys win the region championship, maybe the only region championship they've ever won there in volleyball. And the folks here in this district will appreciate it. You play Ravenwood after you win the region in a sub-state match, and you take a set off of them.
Yeah.
Take a set off of Ravenwood in the sub-state. That means you're amongst the elite. So you did a great job there as head coach. That had to have shaped you too, getting your first experience, even though it was in a sport that you didn't have a background in.
No, it did, and walking into that practice, I was looking around and thinking, oh, wait, I'm the one that starts it, or I'm the one that ends it, and that was just quite the experience too, that you kind of always rely on the head coach. And so that was a very safe place for me, once again, to kind of just develop some philosophy and develop some, some things that translate all sports. And of course I had great help. It got people assistants there, and also had Coach Neal, who's an Independence guy now too, which is pretty cool. Kind of show he was doing it before and couldn't do it anymore, and show me some ideas, give me some ideas on how to do it. And so there were some people that, if there's ever a young guy that comes up and says, "Coach, what do we need to do to become a head coach?" You've said this before, and I believe it to be true. You need somewhere that you can go and make some of those minor mistakes, and make some, and have hopefully some success and experiment, maybe is the best way of saying it, is so that you can eventually move on and learn from that, and take the job that maybe you're aspiring to have. And so, that night we took a set off of Ravenwood. I'll never forget it. It's one of my most favorite moments coaching in any sport. And to, I guess, rewind, we played Portland a couple of nights before in the region championship. Sorry, Coach Woods. And we took them down at West Creek, and so once again, it's just fun competing. It's fun having to be able to feel like you're helping kids achieve their dreams. And, we had great players ultimately, and that's the reason we had some success, and that's a great experience.
Well, and what was neat about that, because I obviously followed you coaching that team. I was there at West Creek when you knocked off Portland. Yeah. And this was the case. And I always say this about coaches who do a good job. It doesn't matter if it's a quote unquote sport that nobody's paying attention to at the school, which volleyball in that district's not quite like it is here in terms of fan bases and that kind of thing. Or if you're coaching the freshman team, to the coach who's doing a good job, they think that position is the most important coaching position in the school.
Absolutely. Yes. You need,
watching those teams.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think you have to, I think that's something that maybe the crowds aren't as big as it would be on a Friday night football game, but man, like the kids don't see it that way. Right. And that's the way that you take some time to learn. And, I'm just so thankful because, at the end of the day, the gyms seem loud, just like it would on a Friday night against your rival in basketball. And so I think you're right. Hit the nail on the head that I want to be that way with every game and how we coach. And so, man, it's fun. And I will say, if the viewers are out there interested, hey, who won it that year? Brentwood did. Brentwood won it all. So we can just go ahead and say that safely. If there's any year in the last 20 years, it's probably Coach Wood winning that state championship. So it was fun.
Now, I noticed, Coach, that when Coach Campbell stepped down there at Brentwood this year, you didn't put him for that job, though.
Coach Campbell, that's right. I didn't feel like that was some shoes that I was ready to fill. I'm not sure if I'm ever am, but Coach Campbell, I mean, that is an unbelievable coaching record. So I'm happy for her. We never crossed paths, thankfully. And when I was coaching, I don't know how that would – I do know how that turned out. But, no, that's great, and what a great career she had.
No doubt. Hey, let's talk a little bit Independence. You're obviously very excited when you met the staff there at Independence. Starts with the principal. Dr. Patton, Dr. Weiss, Mary Beth White, athletic director, all a part of that process. Coach Blade, the football coach, who was part of that process. I know when you met with them, you sort of knew after that first meeting, hey, this is something that I can really be excited about.
Yeah, you're right. And it was something, the whole process we talked about on the front end that I love South Gibson and so thankful to be in this spot. But, when I first got to talk to Dr. Patton, things started to change a little bit in my heart, and just hearing her describe Independence and, obviously Williamson County, I think, speaks for itself, but specifically Independence and describe the family type atmosphere that she's been able to cultivate and be a part of. And then you're thinking, well, that's maybe something that people just say. Then you get to meet some of the people on that Zoom call, and you realize just their interactions with each other and their questions to you. It was, or to me as the applicant, man, it just, once again, just things just started to grow and grow. And you're thinking this could really be a spot that we could want to be at the rest of our careers. And so I could go through each one, but, Coach Blade is obviously somebody who could kind of dictate the conversation, and he's had so much success there. But for him to be humble enough and just ask me philosophy and questions, oh man, it just made me as a younger coach, continue just to feel so excited about the job and be able to work with him and be hopefully his number one fan moving forward in this next football season that's coming up fast. And that was exciting for me. And Dr. Patton just sets all that up for you and wants her coaches to all work together and be excited for each other. And so it's really a dream come true to work at Independence and to work with everyone that you just mentioned. I'm excited to be able to celebrate. Hopefully, it's a lot of big victories together.
Well, and then let's talk about your team a little bit. I mean, obviously, you don't know as much about them as you will know. I know you've been watching film and talking to folks, but obviously, you have some pieces: Jet Montgomery, River Katina, Cameron Bell, Tyus Anderson, all young men who started this past year for that team. So that has to be exciting to know that even though, I mean, they lost in the first round of the district, but to have some of those pieces coming back, that's got to be exciting for you too.
Yeah, and you mentioned that game against Page. Man, that was an exciting game. I mean, it came down on the wire, and it was fun to be able to watch that. And one of the things I noticed when I was able to meet the team a couple times I have is they're a little bit taller and a little bit stronger than you see on film, and that's a good thing. I'm excited for that. But I think there's a great nucleus coming back, and I think there's just a lot of potential there. And any good coach I think will know that ultimately it's your kids are going to make plays. We just saw in the NCAA tournament. Players make plays, and so it's exciting to go to a spot where you feel like a Jet Montgomery can really create his own shot, or River can get in the lane. And there's a lot of that's still to be figured out about who can do what and what roles each one can play. But man, you talked about there's a great nucleus coming back, and I'm just excited more than ever probably to get there and get in the gym and get moved. There's a lot of obstacles first, but to get over there and to work with these kids, I'm very excited.
And I know you've reached out to middle school coaches, you've met the team and the parents. How did those first meetings and conversations go?
I think they went great. I don't know what they think, but I think, I was really excited to have that opportunity to talk to them face to face and to share kind of where we have been and what we're looking for and why take the Independence job. And, some of those things, I just think more than anything else, you kind of start seeing there's a lot of people that want to continue to build on the success that the school has had, that the program has had before. I'm just excited to be a part of that. I mean, there is no denying that that Independence boys basketball program has had great success. I mean, mention Grayson Murphy, and people start getting excited, and I'm just excited to work with those individuals. And I truly believe that the success you have stems from everybody. It stems from the parents at home, what messages they're sharing and how excited they are about the team, the middle school coaches. And we have some great middle school coaches. I look forward to reaching out and contacting even more of them. But that's ultimately, I think, where you see the greatest success is that the village kind of helps build itself.
Coach, and again, I know you're busy, you're a couple hours away, you're selling your house, trying to look at a place here. Once that all gets settled in, what's the summer look like for Independence boys basketball?
Well, thankfully, we all get to have a summer again, right? And it's busy. It's very busy. We're wanting to do a little kids camp right after Memorial Day. for 4 days. And so we're trying to get the word out about that and really trying to get as many kids there as we possibly can. And then we have, I think, 4 weeks there in a row before dead period hits, but we're trying to use all 10 of our days in June to play as many games as possible, to practice as much as possible, and maybe even host a team camp the last week. We're still trying to work on that as well. But, Coach Blade has been great to work with. And just so many others have just kind of shown me their schedule. I know we're in the process of getting a girls coach as well. And so, figuring out how to balance all that. But, Coach White has made that so easy to do. And because I just enjoy being in the gym, and thankfully I have a wife that supports that. And we just enjoy kind of doing that together. And so it's going to be a busy June. But I think it's going to be a June that we really need, because I can't imagine trying to take a job. And I know some people did try to take a job and then not get any summer time with those students. So we're going to try to take advantage of as much as we can, enjoy a dead period, and come back and do some things in July too.
Coach, you really do a good job at promoting your program and players. You did a great job of creating some traditions there at South Gibson. One that stands out to me is because the school is a little bit newer school, every win you had, you would change the number to represent how many wins the program had during the years, updating the locker room. You're real active on Twitter. I think this is something that the folks at Independence, when it comes to the players, the parents, the faculty members, the community, that they're really going to enjoy about you.
Well, I appreciate that. I think I learned from the best. Guy Beach High School did a great job of that. But, it's fun. I think that's ultimately what makes the program even better, is that you have guys that enjoy wearing, the great stuff they get to wear with Adidas, and getting to see a locker room that is updated and things on the wall. And so, and Independence has so much to celebrate. We don't have to look very far down the road to look at great teams, great success, and great players. And so there's already some of that on there. Obviously, there's an incredible scoreboard that I still haven't really got my head around how awesome that's going to be to use. But, I just think there's great things in place, and also great opportunity as well. And so I look forward to kind of getting together with the marketing team and the media team there, and try to figure out, what's the history been here? What have we done? And kind of looking back at some things and trying to build upon that and look for new success.
Coach, you're a great fit for the district. You're a great fit for Independence High School. We talked about you're a promoter, you're a school guy, you're a relationship builder, and oh, by the way, you can coach some hoops too. So I know we're all very excited about it. Appreciate you joining us for this today. We're very excited to introduce you to our WCTV viewers, and looking forward to you getting here.
Coach, I appreciate it. And I just appreciate everyone there accepting me and accepting our family. I'm excited to work together, and Indy Nation, let's do it.
Thank you for joining us for the Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.